Hi, we're here at John Sadler's Auto Repair. Today we're working on some brakes on a 2007 Toyota Camry. The customer complaint is that she had a friend insist that the friend do her front brakes when we had an appointment for us to do it. So she's been a long-standing customer with our repair facility. So what we first did is she wanted us to inspect the brakes. The first thing we did was remove the wheels, and we found that the brake rotor with this number stamped on the outside of it, and by looking at the quality of it, it's what's called a generic rotor. It's a poor quality part for a 2007 Camry with 50,000 miles on it. It has no business being on this particular car. So then we started to disassemble the vehicle. And first we removed the brake caliper. And we noticed once we removed the caliper and set it up out of the way, we noticed that everything's pretty dirty in here. We usually clean all the surfaces inside of here. So we'll set this up out of our way for now. Then they have a couple of clips here to keep the pads separated. And one thing we noticed right away is there's no shim on the back of the brake pad. If you go to the factory printout from All Data, it shows it comes with a front anti-squeal shim on each brake pad. So we noticed that we had some missing parts that were from the factory. They're missing on the car now after someone else worked on the brakes. The next thing we did is we went to take the slide pins out to lubricate the slide pins. These pins are supposed to be very easily movable, and we found it very difficult to pull this pin. It took a great amount of force to pull this pin out. Once I removed the pin, I found this rubber bushing here, and the factory calls it a front disc cylinder slide bushing. So what that means is this has to slide, and it has a bushing. The bushing is supposed to be down inside this little recessed area. As you can see, the bushing's all deformed, it's all elongated. There's old grease in here. So this caliper is unable, these bushings, it cannot slide whatsoever. It's not unable to move. The front one was the same thing. It was very hard to take apart. This should just slide right out after a brake job. And you can see this is dried up, caked up grease. This has not been cleaned since 2007 when the car was manufactured by Toyota. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and remove the caliper mounting so that we can clean the inside of it thoroughly and remove the rotor and look at the hub surface. Here's our mounting bracket assembly, and you can just see that it's not very clean anywhere inside there. Now I'll remove the brake rotor, and you can tell by looking at this rotor, it's just a very poor quality aftermarket rotor. We call it generic rotor. When you look at the hub surface, this has a fair amount of rust starting to build up on top of it. So we clean all this rust off, and then we're going to mount a new rotor on there. And we mount the new rotor on there, we're going to put a dial indicator on it, and we're going to check for the rotor runout, for lateral runout. So what we've done so far is we've taken the vehicle apart now, and we've got to look at things. We've ordered our new parts. So as you know by the diagram, we were missing some parts. So now we have two Toyota factory rotors that the car came with. We have the Toyota factory brake pads, which it looks like the only thing they did on that job is they did use Toyota brake pads. Here's the shims that were completely missing off the car. We're waiting for an order to come in for the slide pin bushing because that's not available, sold separately from Toyota. So those will be here this morning. So we have Toyota rotors, we have Toyota brake pads, we have a Toyota fit kit, and when the slide pin bushings come in, then we'll reassemble everything. So be very careful when you have peer pressure from other people and they're trying to tell you that their friend can do the best brake job in the world and they'll help you with your car. Be very careful. Our shop is ASE certified in brakes. We have a lot of experience in brakes. We use all data. We use factory parts on most of all the newer cars because that's what the car came with. And she got 50,000 miles out of the first brake job. with that slide guide pin hanging up and the caliper guide and the other one frozen and not having any anti-squeal shims on there, the rotors are going to get out around easier. The brakes are going to squeak because there's no shims on it. And then the guide pins can't move, so the brakes pads are going to wear out prematurely. It's going to have poor braking performance. So basically this person was, going by someone else's peer pressure, and they went to a person they said was going to do a great job and save the money. What they did was a complete disaster, as you can see by the facts displayed here, what happened to the person's car. So be very careful that you have someone trained to work on your vehicle, and someone that's going to use factory parts or at least a good equivalent part, and someone that's not going to make their own opinion and decide to start removing factory parts and just putting the parts they feel that should be on there. And someone that's not going to properly lubricate the guide pins and damage the bushing so bad that we have to replace it. So this is another little tip from John Sadler's Auto Repair. Be very careful who works on your brakes and that they're certified in what they can do and they do the job properly. Thank you very much.